Real Talk with Grace Redmond features conversations with fierce and fabulous people from Grace's community and circle who inspire others with their stories of overcoming challenges to create amazing. Grace is an entrepreneur and success coach who works with individuals to diminish their negative mental chatter, boost their confidence, achieve their goals, and increase their prosperity mindset. Get ready for a series of anything goes conversations with remarkable men and women that will get you jazzed for life's unlimited possibilities of success, freedom, and fun. Welcome to Real Talk with Grace Redmond.
I'm Grace Redmond, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Real Talk, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who have overcome challenges and created amazing. And today I am so excited to welcome the Berserkly vegan, Erika Hazel. The Berserkly Vegan was founded by Erika Hazel after she transitioned to the vegan lifestyle in October 2016. The name Berserkly Vegan comes from her love of everything others see as bizarre in Berkeley, California, and her passion for veganism as a way to improve the lives of animals. As a food blogger, Erika's always discovering the best vegan cuisine to share with her family and followers to make the world a more vegan place, one bite at a time. The Berserkly Vegan is not only a popular social media influencer and food blogger, but also specializes in events, consultations, and speaking engagements. Erika's goal is to engage with people to help them find the best plant-based foods the world has to offer, one bite at a time. And I'm super excited to welcome Erika with us on the show today.
Hi, thank you for having me, Grace.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. I definitely need some veganism education, that's for sure. And you're the perfect person to do that for myself and our audience. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. There's a few times I made an attempt, to go vegan, but today you'll help me learn a little bit more.
Sure. What do you want to know? What are we wondering about?
I will get there. What I love is your role as a food critic. Like, I love food, and
Yeah.
I've watched, your Instagram, and then you just get to go to, different places and eat food. Like, I watch the Food Network all the time. That's like my only thing I watch. And then I watched you on Check Please. So that was really cool. I'm like, I want her job. I mean, so tell us a little, like, how did you get started as a food critic?
I come from a big foodie family. My mom is an amazing cook. She's traveled the world, and, she loves French cuisine and traditional, like, Black American cuisine. And so I always grew up in a household where my mom, like, cooked things from scratch. And so when I was talking about going vegan, I first went pescatarian at UC Irvine in undergrad. And it was so hard for me. And I don't know why, but it was really hard for me. I was like, all I can eat is like shrimp fettuccine alfredo, and that's it. Like, I was so stumped on like vegetarianism and pescatarianism. And then once I did the leap to veganism, my method was I'm going to eat whatever I want outside of the house. So, which included a lot of Popeye's chicken.
And I love Popeye's chicken.
So good. And in the house, I was going to practice my veganism. So I kept my home vegan and just got by with what I needed to outside of the house.
That's fair. So you started, that was one of my questions. Like, how did you start? Was it cold turkey? But it sounds like what you did was, when I'm home, I'm going to do the veganism. And when I'm out, I get to eat Popeyes and the biscuits and enjoy that.
Right. Yeah. Because I was still like, my biggest struggle, I think, going vegan was like, where am I going to eat? How am I going to make sure that there's no dairy, no butter, no... I think that was my biggest struggle, because I remember when I was pescatarian, my auntie, she made something and she said, oh, this is vegetarian, but I think she had used the same ladle for like a meat dish that she used for the rice dish or whatever. And my stomach was not okay with that. My stomach, the difference that there was meat essence in what I was eating. And so I knew I had to be very careful about, not upsetting my stomach eating out in the world. So yeah, it was definitely research, but the Instagram community was so helpful. Like, oh, go get this, go do that. I was like, oh, thank you for helping me figure this out. So it was definitely a community effort.
But so what motivated you to go vegan?
Ooh, that's a
Or,
great
or
question.
because again, it starts like you said, pescatarian and then vegan. Like, what was the motivation to choose that lifestyle?
So I went to undergrad in Southern California and I was walking, we call it Ring Road. It's the road that goes around the entire campus. And someone said, "Hey, do you want to help animals?" And I was like, "Of course I do." Handed me this pamphlet that showed like the horrors of like factory farming and like where our meat comes from. And I was like, so upset, like, I'm contributing to this. I'm such a bad person.
I won't
And
watch those shows. My son's like, watch this. I'm like, yeah, no.
right, right. And so yeah, they got me unexpectedly, and I was like, okay, I need to transition meat out of my diet. And I always tell people, as amazing as my family is, like I kind of describe them as a bunch of velociraptors, a lot of, really intense meat eaters.
Yes.
And so for me, I didn't really go vegan until I moved out of my parents' house after college, and I had my own fridge. I got to pick the influences that were around me. I got to pick what was in my fridge. And yeah, I watched this documentary, Vegucated, which is really cool because it's a social experiment documentary that takes 6 people to transition them to vegan for like a month or something and to see if they'll stick with it after the documentary's over.
Did they stick with it?
A couple people did.
It's tough.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah. And I think this was like filmed like maybe in the early 2000s, late 90s, something like that. So I know it was definitely harder then. But now like I'm so excited because like whenever I go traveling, I'm like, ooh, I have 10 different vegan spots I want to hit here. I have 10 different, New York, Honolulu, Washington, D.C., those, and Portland, Oregon are like my top 4 like vegan destinations.
I love it. Well, there's something exciting. I know that you you have the Berkeley Food Festival, and I just found out that your Berkeley Food Festival was named #1 vegan festival to travel to in the country.
I hope that they think we're number 1. I know
Number
for sure
one.
we're on that list. We're the first mention on that list.
Yeah, it's #1.
Yeah, so that was a huge honor from Veg News. I have been a Veg News subscriber forever. I've met their CEO and founder, so it was amazing that we made the list. Yeah, the Berserker Food Fest. Thank you. Yeah,
Number 1.
I think everyone should go.
And you didn't even know, like someone told you that you were chosen as #1 vegan food festival to travel to. How did that feel once you heard the news?
Yeah, one of my followers is like, "Have you seen the articles?" Like, what article? They're like, "You got listed on this list." I was like, "Oh, I'll go look at it right now." And it was just like the biggest honor, I could have gotten, because this is our 2nd year in person. So I was like, "Oh snap. Oh snap. This is cool."
That's amazing. That's so cool. And so how long have you been a food critic?
Since I went vegan in 2016, my motto was, everything I'm going to show you on my Instagram page is meat eater approved. That was the motto. So my family and friends were a huge help with that, going out to eat with me at different places, trying different products like, "Ooh, would you eat this vegan cheese? Would you eat this vegan chicken or whatever?" And so my favorite thing now is like when I give something to my second little brother, he's the oldest little brother, he'll be like, this isn't vegan chicken. This is real chicken. They're just lying to you, Erika. And I'm like, no. Look at the package.
And I've heard that before, where people eat vegan food and like, okay, that doesn't even, it doesn't even taste. It tastes like I'm eating, regular, like you said, chicken or not meat. But I remember when Allison, she's like, I felt like I was eating, chicken. So she mentioned the same thing to me. That's my, my assistant, when she was, hanging out with you.
Yeah.
And she was like, it was amazing.
Yeah. That's the goal. So how I combine being a food critic for the past like 6 years and the Berkeley Food Festival is that this is a curated event where like every vendor, or at least 95% of the vendors there, have my stamp of approval. Like, I've tried your food. I know it's amazing. I know the public's going to love it. I want everyone to find out about you, because the motivation for the festival is helping small businesses get the shine that they deserve, and especially women-owned business and POC, people of color businesses.
I love it. And when is it this year?
It is Sunday, September 4th at Sports Basement in downtown Berkeley from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Really excited because we were Labor Day weekend last year, and we're going to keep it trucking with Labor Day weekend this year.
That's a fun weekend. So we'll definitely put that information at the end, and so people are aware where they can come visit and try amazing vegan foods. So I want to go back to the becoming a food critic. Now, was that something you just said, okay, this is what I want to do, and it kind of just went from there? Like you said, I want to become a vegan. I want to share, with the world, and you just kind of landed into the position.
Oh, so fun fact, I have like 4 careers all at the same time.
And I want to hear about it. The go-getter.
Yeah, I definitely get it from my parents. My parents are entrepreneurs. My mom is a lawyer who's had her own practice, and my dad has done everything under the sun. And so being a food critic is not my day job. My day job has been being a school counselor. So I've been a school therapist, mental health therapist to 550 kids.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Here in the Bay Area, I'm a graduate school professor. I'm the Berserkly vegan. And sometimes people hire me to run their food festivals as well. So like I do the Berserkly vegan, and I also plan vegan events for myself and, for my brand as well as other people's events.
And that's a lot. And that was, one of my, because I knew that, you have just this incredible career, and it's so necessary. We need this, especially now with our youth. And thank you so much for everything that you do, because I know you have a full plate, and you're still out here, helping, other businesses and putting the festival together. How are you able to manage all of that success?
Ooh. Yeah, that's a great question. This year I found myself not being able to manage it, and my body kind of had to tell me, if you're not going to sit down, I'm going to sit you down. So that was tough. But I mean, for me, I think my vision for my life is that I'm not going to do anything that doesn't make me happy.
Amen.
So like the food festival makes me happy. Like if you want to tell me to plan something, I get all bubbly and excited. Like, oh, we get to plan something. I love planning stuff. I love organizing things. And so, yeah, everything I do makes me happy. Working with kids makes me super happy. Teaching my, graduate students makes me super happy because we have so much fun together. So yeah, like all of my jobs are fun.
Well, I love how you talked about that. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a future guest, and we were talking about effortless action. And which reminded me of Abraham Hicks inspired action. So what you just hit on is when you're doing activities that make you feel good, that bring you joy, it doesn't even feel like work.
Right. And that's the scary part for me, because because it doesn't feel like work, it's hard for me to slow down and take breaks and rest, because I'm having so much fun. I don't even notice that I'm running on E.
Right. Well, I can relate to that. I've been there many times. And I heard you say, earlier, like you've been going and going, but your body talked to you recently until you sit down. So what was that like? Was that a burnout? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. It looked like me going to urgent care, and they thought I had a blood clot. They thought I was having a heart attack. Because my body was just like, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sit up straight. I was super dizzy. I had stabbing chest pains. And so for me, like getting put in the back of an ambulance and being put in the ER was like a really big wake up call for me that being a giver has its limits.
Sister, I mean, I'm a giver to a fault.
Right. And I hit my fault line really hard to the point I had to take 2 months off of work.
And what did that look like for you, taking 2 months off of work, especially when you have, this business and the counsel and the professor? Like, I could imagine, I think we're similar. I don't like how were you able to stay down for 2 months, or like, stay put for 2 months?
So I had to take 2 months off of my day job at the school. And it was, I don't want to call it survivor's guilt, but there's a lot of guilt, because I was like, well, the rest of my coworkers are still working. How come I'm the only one who, burnt out so hard? How come I'm the only one? I just had a lot of guilt associated with it. It didn't feel good. And with taking time off, I had a guest come into my class last night because I teach about trauma and crisis and counseling right now. And she was talking about how in a capitalistic society, it doesn't make financial sense to take time off of work, but your body needs you to do it. So for me, half of my break, my time off looked like filing for disability. Like it was almost more work to take time off of work. It was work to take time off of work as well, and figure out how I was going to move things around to make it through paying rent. And, the Bay Area is not cheap.
No.
So, but I had the support of my family, which meant a lot. But yeah, it looked like me getting my own therapist again, to kind of process, like, how did I end up here? Like, what am I responsible for, in my life and how I run my life to get to this point? I got a life coach to kind of help me reorganize my life in a bunch of different ways. And so, yeah, it was a lot of self-discovery during that time off.
And thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable. And again, I can relate in the times that I burnt out, same thing. It was like I had to take responsibility. It was the overgiving. It was, not setting the boundaries that needed to be set. And like you said, also in the capitalistic society, we're taught, like, okay, if you're not working, you're not making money, then you're not, worthy. And so you have all these, records running in your mind,
right?
When in reality, it's just counterproductive to our health. And when we take the time to rest and reflect, we have more energy to give, and then we attract more. I know I'm more productive when I take that time, but those pauses are necessary, because if not, the universal 2x4 comes and hits you.
Right. Hit you hard.
Yes. And so, and I love how, you focusing on the self-care, therapy, the life coach, kind of doing things for yourself to kind of get you back on track.
Yeah.
It takes more effort to get back on track than it does to do the preventative care.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we don't realize that our preventative care, maybe, for me, it looked into finding out that I've had ADHD my whole life. And that's why I'm so productive at everything that I do. Because I'm like, let's do all the things. Let's do it because it's fun. Let's do all the things. And so what I had to learn getting an ADHD life coach was, Erika, have you looked at, like, because I'm the type of person who's like waiting in line for my prescriptions and I'm on my phone, I'm doing this. And she's like, couldn't you just like breathe and just stand there? And I was like, what do you mean breathe and just waste time?
Girl, late. Oh my God.
What do you mean to stand there and just be in the moment? That sounds terrible. That sounds like a waste of time. Like, no, just.
That's like me. I'll have 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, let me answer some emails. No, just sit there and be.
So yeah, it had a lot. I realized how much of my ADHD, my brain just working differently, like using a planner really doesn't necessarily work for me the best, or setting alarms, because I'll snooze it, So it was a lot of self-discovery for me to figure out what works for my unique brain, because I think we have a lot of misconceptions about ADHD in our society, where it's like, you're dumb, or you can't sit still and you can't focus. Like, no, when my dog's not here, I will sit here in this position on my laptop for 9 hours straight. No water, no snack breaks, no nothing.
Just go.
That's how hyper-focused my ADHD gets when I'm like, okay, I'm going to have this work burst. I'm going to do it. Yes. So yeah, my dog has been, implementing her into my routine, or I think I need at least 10 different routines for every, all the different scenarios. But every 3 hours, I take her out. I get a break. I stop looking at my screen. I get fresh air. So yeah, it's reimagining the world that I already have in a way that actually works for my brain.
And it sounds like what you've been doing is like incorporate, instead of going those 9 hours straight, hyper focused, is taking those little breaks in between,
chunking my day.
Mm-hmm. And how have you noticed that helps you?
Yeah, it helps in the sense that, like, it forces me to take a break and be like, if I'm 15 feet away from the refrigerator right now, if I'm taking her outside, I'm going past, I should grab some water as I'm walking past the fridge. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, it gives me a chance to have more reminders to take care of my body, because I'm not, sitting in the same spot for 8 hours, 9 hours straight. It really helps me to kind of like look at my environment. Oh, I could do a couple dishes right now. I don't have to do all of them. I could do a couple right now, grab a drink of water, and put something in the air fryer really quick for lunch. So
I love how you mentioned, like when you go for the walk, you pass the refrigerator, you think of the water. That reminds me of habit stacking. And like remembering, okay, like as I go for a walk, there's the fridge. Okay, let me grab the water. So stacking those healthy habits on top of each other. So thank you for reminding me about that, the habit stacking.
I need to look into it now.
Yeah, I forgot who talked about it, but it's a thing. Habit stacking is a thing.
Nice.
Yeah. So I really, again, it's like this. I love the drive, the ambition, the energy.
Right.
Your energy and drive is contagious. What do you think activates your drive and ambition to keep you moving forward?
Ooh, besides the ADHD, I definitely have to say my parents. I have looked up to them my entire life. Like my mom has 3 college degrees, so obviously I had to get 3 college degrees. My dad has had multiple independently owned businesses, so obviously I need at least 2 on my docket.
You got
Yeah, yeah, they kind of set the stage. Not in an unhealthy way of like, if you don't do this, then you're not successful, but more so like they've just been really good role models for me, as well as my aunts and uncles. They're amazing role models for me, just looking at the things that they've done, the people that they've helped, the impacts that they've made in their communities. I have a lot of teachers in my family, so like we get to talk, oh my God, this school year, we always have our little school year rants together, which feels really nice. And so yeah, I definitely think the adults, I'm not an adult yet. I'm working on it. I'm 30, but I'm still not an adult.
I don't even know if I'm an adult yet.
Right. The older adults in my family have definitely been really good role models.
And being those they inspired you. And a little bit of what I heard was they inspired you by the service that they were doing, that they were giving back.
Yes.
And you do so much of that in all 3 of the roles that you hold.
Yeah, I've been giving back since I was 8 years old. I planned my first event in the 3rd grade. I did a toy drive for children who were living at the local homeless shelter in my hometown. And so we I organized my whole class to, get all these toys for the kids. So ever since I was 8 years old, I've been doing a lot of philanthropy based events since I was a kid. So yeah, they definitely, they helped me pull that off, and they've been helping me pull off the Berkeley Food Festival. Everything I do, yeah, they're right there in my corner.
And I love how you're talking about service and the giving back, and you give back in such huge ways. And thank you for that. There's something that came up yesterday as well in a conversation I was having is one of our greatest keys to our joy and fulfillment is being of service to others. And if you can speak on that, because I feel like that's for you is very intrinsic. Well, what do you think about that? One of our greatest ways to feel fulfilled is when we're service to others.
Yeah, I totally agree with that statement. I teach my students at my school, especially my 8th grade girls. I taught them, I'm like, do you think happy people hurt other people? They're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, because hurting people hurt other people.
That's right. Hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people. And so if you think about we call it, there's this book called How to Fill Your Bucket. And so when you fill someone else's bucket, you're filling your bucket. So when you open the door for someone and they express gratitude, you feel good about yourself that someone, and sometimes it's also about doing things that are nice for other people without the recognition, like going to the beach and picking up trash.
100%. And something that I've learned was a lot of times we do things with a motive back, unconsciously.
Right.
I'm not saying this is malicious. And when we do things just because, like, I just want to do this because just from a kindness of my heart, it is not because I want you to like me. Right. It's incredible how it's like a boomerang effect. And like kindness breeds kindness, gentleness breeds gentleness, compassion breeds compassion. And I feel like sometimes in our world, we move away from that because we get stuck in what's in it for me.
Right.
And of course we want to be self-full and think of ourselves. And at the same time, it's a reciprocity.
Right. And I love how you mentioned that, because that makes me think of like balance. We can always give because it's good to give. And we also have to think about, being unlimitedly selfless is
Mm.
also toxic, because that
Yeah.
means you're just putting out, and who's taking care of you, who's looking out for you, who's, you know what I mean? So being just having limitless unselflessness is also not healthy, because we
Right.
also want a community. If we're taking care of our community, we want our community to also take care of us.
Right. And
Goes
if you
both
talk
ways.
about the book, Filling Your Bucket, I'm not familiar with it, but I'll look it up. But something about filling your bucket, if you cannot give from an empty bucket, like
Right.
if I have a bucket and I'm just giving everything to everyone, I'm going to be depleted and I can't give. There's nothing left to give.
Right.
There's nothing left to give. And so in our society, I think there's been like a medal. You get a medal for being so selfless and giving so much, when in
Right.
reality, um, there's nothing beautiful about being a martyr,
Right.
because you then like you're giving from a place of lack, and instead of a place of love,
Right.
and I think there's a difference there. And sometimes we don't even know it.
Yeah. And sometimes we don't know how to balance between doing, the right thing, quote unquote, or, being caring and giving. And when it's time to just give to ourselves, like, just because your friends and family are calling you on the phone, if your social, capacity is at zero, you don't have to answer the phone.
That's right. That's right. And
It's
that goes
okay.
back to, what we talked about earlier, the burnout.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, let's prevent it. How can we prevent it? It's by setting boundaries, saying no, and to help keep yourself full, taking those pauses.
Yeah.
And I always appreciate when my guests are vulnerable and share those things, because I don't think we talk about those things enough. I think we show up with these masks, like everything is perfect and we got this. But in reality, I don't care who you are. There's always challenges, and we need to be, there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable and sharing, because then you're not alone. So someone who's watching now is like, oh, I'm really going through this, and
Right.
help, like, Erica and I have been there. You're not alone.
Right. And that's what you were just talking about. That's called toxic positivity,
Yeah.
where you make everything seem like everything's hunky dory. And when you're really hurting or struggling on the inside, but the mask of like, no, everything's fine, I'm not going to let me. No, be honest. Like,
Totally.
things suck right now.
Yeah, and that's okay. And you could be discerning. I'm like, you don't have to come on my, on my live and just spill it all out. I think the
Right.
key is also being authentic with yourself.
Right.
Being authentic with yourself, because that comes through.
Yeah.
You're amazing, and you have just everything that you do as an entrepreneur. What has been one of the greatest challenges you faced, and how did you kind of navigate through that challenge?
There's a lot of challenges. I am like fully stepping into my entrepreneurship because I'm no longer at the school. I'm now a private practice therapist.
Wow.
And I start that on Monday. So that's going to be
Congratulations.
exciting. Thank you.
Congratulations.
With entrepreneurship, I think there's this TikTok or Instagram reel sound that says, you know what? I quit working a 9-to-5 job so that I can work for myself 24/7.
I saw that. I saw that TikTok, or I saw that meme.
Right. And it's so funny because, when I'm planning I remember last year doing the Berserkly Food Festival, I was up until like 3:00 in the morning, printing things out and, getting things together, and waking up at 6 a.m. to like load up the U-Haul and get to the venue. And I'm just like, dang, I'm running off of 3 hours of sleep, and I got a whole fest. I'm not going to be done till like 7:00 tonight. So I definitely think with entrepreneurship, it's your baby, it's your passion, and you're going to give it your all. And sometimes your all has no limits, because sometimes if you're like me, a one-woman show, you're going to give it your all and then some. And so I think for me, one of the hardest things is like delegating and asking for help, as well as knowing like, you know what, if I'm planning this appropriately, I don't have to get it done today. I can do a little bit every week leading up to the event.
Yes.
And bounce some ideas off of some people, rather than trying to like, conquer it all in 24 hours. Yeah.
Do it all. And that's another, myth, that as an
Right.
entrepreneur initially, where it's like, okay, I have to do it all, which that's that again, it leads us to the burnout. And like you said, delegating and asking for help is key. And I'm still learning to ask for help. You know, I have an incredible team, I have an incredible community, and I find myself in positions in my life where I still have a hard time asking for help.
Right. Right.
I'm working on it.
It's a process.
It's a process, you
And
know.
picking and choosing what you're going to have people like, no, I need to do all of this, but you can do that.
Right. Right. And there's, for me, there was like, let me know if you could relate to this. Like, okay, I'm going to do it all myself because, you know, like I'm a warrior, like, and I got this because if I ask for help, then, you know, I'm not a badass, which that is like a bullshit mentality.
Yeah. I think for me, the bullshit mentality for me is, if I ask for help, that means I bit off more than I can chew,
Mhm.
or I didn't think this through enough. When it's like, no, 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 no. And I think those self-fulfilling prophecies in our head, you know, those that negative deficit thinking that we come to, like,
Mhm.
you know, I set myself up for failure. Like, no, you just need help thinking this through. So yeah, we beat up on ourselves.
We do. We do. And I like how you said I set when the track in your mind was I set myself up for failure, which that's not true because we're learning. There's no
Right.
failure, it's only feedback. So okay, let's say I bit off more than I can chew. Okay. I I bit off more than I can chew this time. It's okay because now I know next time when I do this, I've learned and I'm going to be more efficient at it or I'll be better at it. So we're always learning. As long as we're breathing, we wake up every day, we're learning.
Exactly.
So be grateful for that. Because if you're not learning, that means you're, you know, ashes or 6 feet under.
You're on that hamster wheel, just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes, girl. And I see in the world around me, I see that happen so often. I mean, that was me too.
Right. Right.
But we're so conditioned a certain way. But again, it takes just that little piece. Just if we could do something different, 1% of something different every day, we can make those changes.
Right. Right. It would make a huge difference in that it would lead us off of the path of just that the mundane, the everyday, like, oh, I can tweak this and then I can tweak this. And then you just start tweaking your whole life and then you have a whole new
Right.
routine and a
That's
whole
it.
new.
That's it. And it's a process, which brings me to I mean, again, you're so successful and you now open your practice and you have the festival coming up. Is there something you do for yourself, like first thing in the morning to set the tone for the day, or it doesn't have to be in the morning? Like, is there something you do to help yourself kind of get set for the day?
You know, if I am on top of it, my go-to thing is, um, if I can have a mono meal of fruit first thing in the morning, I know that sets me up for success. This is a combination of passion fruit, mangoes, pineapple juice, and ginger. So this is like anti-inflammatory, all the good stuff I need first thing in the morning. So if I can like batch prep like 4 frozen smoothies in my freezer and I, you know, take that out of the fridge first thing in the morning, I know I'm going to have a good day.
Kind of just start fueling your body with just really healthy and high vibration food. I mean, that's what that is. It's high vibration food.
Yeah, for me, I definitely think like staying away from like my favorites, you know, like waffles and hash browns and stuff. If I can do something that's a little bit, you know, whole food, plant based, like first thing in the, even if it's just an apple or some like oatmeal yogurt and granola with a little agave, like it sets up my body to feel good. So then I can have better focus and better like, what's the word I'm looking for? Productivity throughout the day.
I love that. I never thought about that for fueling, you know, your body first thing in the day in that way. Because typically I've thought about, okay, like I meditate, I do my gratitudes, I pray, I exercise.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind to maybe first thing in the morning, you know, sometimes it works for might work, it might not, is like
Right.
eating something healthy like that to just fuel your body.
Right.
Yeah, I never thought it. And that's like again a high vibration food. It'll kind of set the tone and kind of yeah, I love that. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's because I struggle with doing the journaling, the meditation, the yoga first thing in because
Yeah, and
this dog is like, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, I'll take you.
I love it. But I love that, like kind of fueling your body.
Yeah.
Which brings me to something I know we got a little bit off track, but it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Just an amazing conversation. And I appreciate you being so real. let's go back to the veganism. What are some of the benefits of eating plant-based?
I think the thing that I'm telling my family now is I'm like, do you want to meet your grandchildren? Do you want to? We can't deny, that plants are, they're the foundation of our food pyramid. They're the foundation of healthy water. We need our fiber. I know a lot of people aren't getting enough fiber. If you ask people how many times they go number 2 in a day, it's going to shock you.
Oh, shit.
Now I'm going to go. Right. Literally. Yeah. Literally. Like, oh my God. You don't. So yeah, when I think about the benefits of like a vegan diet, and there's so many ways to be vegan. I'm an out and proud junk food vegan. Give me my Beyond Meat. Give me my accidentally vegan Cracker Jack, whatever it is. I love the accidentally vegan stuff. Oreos, all of that stuff. But like for me, like being, this, like, especially for my ladies, my people who are menstruating, I feel less cramping, less fatigue, less, moodiness when I'm doing an apple smoothies, when I'm eating, or salads, like when I'm eating whole food, plant-based, especially on my cycle, I'm like, what's like, I feel amazing.
Yeah.
Versus, yeah.
It does make a difference, because there have been times where I have done that and I totally felt different. Like I had more energy. But for me, I couldn't sustain it because, I loved, I love my chicken and my meat and this. But what you're helping me realize right now is maybe it doesn't have to be, for me, it doesn't have to be, okay, veganism, the whole, 100%. Maybe just throw in a couple days where, I'm just focusing on kind of just greens, because it does. I've done it before for a short period of time. And I'll tell you, like, I noticed a big difference in my energy, how I felt. But again, so like you said earlier, like, what am I going to eat when I go out? For me, it's like big part of my social life revolves around food and alcohol.
Food is love, and going out for drinks is also love too. I'll never say no to a good mimosa. So I think, yeah, I am 100% here for the flexitarians, because my immediate family is not vegan. I'm pretty sure I'm the only vegan. My cousin's vegetarian, which I love. But yeah, I love the flexitarians. There's a lot of books out there. I think there's a book called Vegan Before 5 p.m. So like doing vegan for your breakfast, lunch, and snacks, and then like having your, your steak or your chicken for dinner. Like that's a huge impact.
I like that. Now, when you say flexitarian, is that what you're talking about? Like maybe just, do plant-based a few days a week, or just be flexible with how you're eating?
I think, yeah, flexitarian can look like so many things. When I think about flexitarian, I think like for my mom, she's a perfect example of a flexitarian. Her breakfast is vegan. Like I got them to get rid of cow's milk in the house. She does oat milk creamer for her coffee. And she'll do, like a really hearty salad or a orzo pesto pasta dish or whatever for lunch. And then she has, cheese has been her thing. So she'll have a feta salad for dinner or something like that. So like being flexible, that you're going to be more mindful about incorporating more vegan into your diet, because I know the push is definitely for more whole food plant-based, like, oh, I'm going to have kale, I'm going to have spinach, I'm going to have, all these different things. But when we're looking at, you're cutting out the impacts of like dairy out of your diet and, factory farmed meat out of your diet into a vegan meal, it has a really big impact, not on just on our bodies, but the environment, and the way that our food system works. So if you're doing more vegan, then like the companies who are producing our food are like, ooh, we need to hop on this vegan train.
No, and you're right. I've seen more options lately, and you've definitely piqued my interest. So I'm going to make an effort, and because again, you feel so much better, and we know that we know that the more fruits and vegetables you eat, the healthier you are. But again, I love how there's the flexible, because now I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can do this and be a flexitarian and just add a few of those, plant-based meals into, which I kind of do. But I think more is necessary, because you do feel better 100%. I give that up to you.
So when our cookbook comes out, I'll mail you one.
Yeah, please mail it to me. It's been so fun. Well, we went all over. We went all over today.
We did.
So much for being flexible and open and sharing with us. I really appreciate it. Congratulations for being the #1 vegan festival to travel to, the Berserkly Food Festival, which is September 4th. We'll go ahead and put that information down. And if anyone's interested to get in touch with you, how can they reach you?
Instagram is great. I'm at Berserkly Vegan on Instagram, or you can reach me out to me on my website, theberserklyvegan.com. And if you're on Eventbrite, go ahead and subscribe and follow to all the events that I have. We recently had a vegan yacht party with about 100 people on board. We had an amazing time. So yeah, there's more to come.
That looks fun. I love that. I love that. And I just want to take a minute to say thank you for those that joined us live. Brandy Porter Schrader was here, and April DeMille. Thank you so much. And Judy James and Allison Tsukamoto was here with us. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. And for those watching the replay, I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. I know there are so many other podcasts to listen to. And as always, I'm grateful for you. And Erika, thank you so much for joining us. This was super fun. I loved how we went all over the place. We touched on so many different things, and that's what I love about it. And I will go ahead and put your information there for people to reach out to you. All right, all have a wonderful rest of the afternoon. And I actually will be back next week, and you're going to love my guests next week as well. Have a great day, all. Take care.
Thank you, Grace.
Hey, sweetheart. All right. Hey, love. Thank you so much for listening today. I am so grateful for you. I'd like to show you my appreciation by gifting you a free forgiveness self-hypnosis audio download. Part of living the fun and fabulous life is practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness can be such a long and challenging process. My intention is that this forgiveness audio will help you in practicing forgiveness, especially with yourself. Grab it by visiting daretoachieve.com/forgiveness. For more inspiring tips, make sure to connect with me on social media. Drop me a line on Facebook or Instagram at Grace Redmond Dare to Achieve. Until next time, keep moving forward towards living your fabulous life.